Hello, it's Saturday the 6th of February. You're tuned in to our 6 p.m. newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. It's very good to have you with us. I'm Mark Broom. We start, as is customary during major national holidays here in Korea, with the situation on the nation's expressways on this first day of the 5-day Lunar New Year holiday. Millions of Koreans have been hitting the road, leaving Seoul and heading to their hometowns to visit their families. With more than 80% of people travelling by car or bus, major expressways can get notoriously congested. Let's get a check on the current conditions with our Oh Soo-young, who is at a toll gate heading out of Seoul. Soo-young, how are things looking at the moment?
Hi Mark, behind me hundreds of cars are streaming out of Seoul on the Gyeongbu Expressway. The traffic flow is slowly loosening up after reaching its daily peak at around noon. But drivers still have a long way to go. Road authorities predict the nationwide congestion will only begin to ease sharply from 8 to 9 p.m. this evening. If you were to set off from Seoul right now, it would take you an estimated 5 hours to get to Busan. To the southwestern city of Gwangju, it would take 3 hours and 50 minutes and just over 4 hours to Daegu. To the central city of Daejeon, expect to be sat in the car for 2 hours and 10 minutes. The Korea Expressway Corporation says more than 4 million people will be driving across the nation today. Overall, more than 36 million Koreans will be on the move during this 5-day holiday. That's roughly 3% more than last year, and 4/5 will travel by car.
And Soo-young, looking further ahead then, how are traffic conditions expected to fare during the rest of the holiday period?
Well, the Transport Ministry says expressways will be the most heavily congested on Sunday and Monday, the actual Lunar New Year's Day. Roads will be jam-packed with cars on Sunday morning. Officials say that's when most drivers will be heading out of Seoul to their hometowns. But compared to last year, traffic conditions should be breezier for those driving from Seoul. The average travel time is predicted to be 1 to 2 hours less this holiday. However, on their return, drivers could spend up to 40 minutes longer on the roads than they did the year before. The traffic back to Seoul is expected to peak on Monday afternoon as families finish up their New Year celebrations. Road authorities forecast almost 8 million people will be on the move that day alone. That's all for now from me. I'll be back with more updates during our next newscast at 10 p.m. Back to you, Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Soo-young. Please try and stay as warm as you can. It's very cold out there. Now, in the rest of the day's news, President Park Geun-hye has held telephone talks with her Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping on North Korea's recent nuclear test and the regime's plans to launch a rocket. Officials say the two leaders spoke for around 45 minutes late Friday night. It marks the first time the leaders of the two countries have spoken by phone about a North Korean nuclear test. The South Korean leader urged President Xi to cooperate with the UN Security Council in adopting strong and effective sanctions on Pyongyang. In response, President Xi said China wanted to see a nuclear-free and peaceful Korean peninsula. Now, US President Barack Obama also spoke to President Xi by phone to press him to support punitive measures against North Korea. The White House said both leaders agreed on the need for a strong international response to North Korea's provocations, but didn't really go into many details. China is a long-time ally of North Korea and wields a veto on the UN Security Council. Now, speculation is mounting that North Korea will launch its rocket in the next few days, right at the start of the 2.5-week launch window it announced earlier this week. South Korea has heightened its military defense posture in response. Ji Myung-gil with the details.
Experts say North Korea must forge ahead with the launch within a week, as it has finished fueling the rocket. Once the launch pad is checked and the cover is removed, only the final decision maker in Pyongyang knows when the countdown will begin. As it awaits the launch, the South Korean military has completed the deployment of national defense assets capable of identifying and tracking the rocket. Seoul's Defense Minister Han Min-go on Saturday inspected an Aegis-equipped destroyer in the West Sea, which has the capability to immediately detect a launch. The Aegis is equipped with a sophisticated radar system that was the first in the world to detect North Korea's Eunha-3 rocket launch in 2012. Minister Han instructed the sailors to maintain full combat readiness and watertight surveillance postures. In a display of strong South Korea-US alliance, top military officers from both countries paid a visit to the joint security area inside the truce village of Panmunjom. General Lee Sun-jin, chairman of South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff and U.S. Forces Korea Commander General Curtis Caparati, called for full combined combat readiness. Also on Saturday, the U.S. Pacific Command called on North Korea to refrain from irresponsible provocations, saying it was prepared to protect the American homeland and defend South Korea and Japan. The North continues to claim its rocket launches are peaceful and solely aimed at putting satellites into orbit. But Pyongyang is banned from such launches under UN Security Council resolutions, as it is widely accepted that Pyongyang uses them as cover for ballistic missile tests. Given the level of progress in launch preparations, North Korean experts believe Pyongyang will launch the rocket on Tuesday or Wednesday because the weather is forecast to be good. Kim Young-gyun, Arirang News.
A powerful earthquake in Taiwan has killed at least 5 people and caused a number of buildings to collapse. It registered at 6.4 on the Richter scale and hit the city of Tainan in the south of the country, home to nearly 2 million people. At least 150 people were injured in the tremor, which struck in the early hours of Saturday morning. A newborn baby was among the dead, pulled out of a collapsed 17-story building. Looking at the video there, you can see the damage is pretty severe in parts, but it isn't really that widespread. But several other buildings in the city are tilting at alarming angles. A number of powerful aftershocks have been felt in Tainan as well throughout the day. More worrying details have emerged about the risks posed by the Zika virus. Scientists in Brazil say they have found it in urine and saliva. A public health institute in the country says genetic testing identified the presence of the virus in fluid samples from 2 patients who were suffering from the mosquito-borne viral infection. The World Health Organization has put a figure on the amount of money it thinks is needed to halt the spread of the virus. It says it needs $25 million to fund a 6-month research program looking at how the virus is transmitted. Now, scientists in the US say the suspected link to the birth defect microcephaly appears more and more likely now. They're also investigating whether other developmental disorders may be linked to Zika. Now, in sports news, Yoon Song-bin has captured Korea's first ever gold medal at the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation World Cup. The 21-year-old skeleton slider won with a combined time of 2 minutes and 18.26 seconds after 2 runs. Martins Dukas of Latvia and his brother Tomas tied for second at this year's event in the Swiss alpine town of St. Moritz. Yoon is widely viewed as one of South Korea's best gold medal hopes at the 2018 Winter Games that will be held in the South Korean resort town of Pyeongchang. South Korea's national debt has exceeded the $500 billion mark for the first time. According to data released by the National Assembly Budget Office, the country's debt ticked past the $500 billion mark on Friday night. The figures also show the debt could reach $540 billion by the end of this year. Seoul's finance ministry says that while the country's debt is rising, it's still lower than that of most other developed economies around the world. Around 5 million vehicles made by Honda and Fiat Chrysler automobiles are to be recalled worldwide due to potential issues with their airbag deployment. Continental Automotive Systems, the German supplier that manufactures electronic components that control airbags, say semiconductors inside the unit could corrode, causing the airbags to deploy inadvertently or fail to deploy at all. The recall affects models built between 2007 and 2015. Now, Kia Motors was initially named in Continental's filing, but the supplier said it was an error. The Korean automaker has confirmed that no Kia models were fitted with the defective airbags. Now, SMS phishing or smishing scams are on the rise here in Korea, unfortunately, and they are especially common during the holidays. And with a major holiday already here, you might want to be on your guard. For more on what to look out for, Park Ji-won reports.
scammers get busy around the holidays when there's a rise in SMS phishing schemes using texts from fake delivery services as bait. Here are 3 examples of some common scam texts. This one says, your special gift set for the Lunar New Year holiday will be delivered tomorrow. Please fill out your exact address. Another scam text says, we are unable to deliver your parcel due to an unknown address. Please confirm your address. Another variation goes like this, would like to schedule a time to deliver your gift set. Please tell us when you will be at home. In all 3 cases, the recipient is directed to click a link to get to the screen that asks for their address or to schedule a delivery. But when you click, malware is installed, including programs that collect private information saved in the phone and one that siphons small amounts of money into the scammer's account. In that case, the targets usually are not aware of the crime because the withdrawal later appears as an extra fee on their monthly phone bill. To protect yourself, police say you should exercise extreme caution before clicking a link on a text message from an unknown sender. If you receive notice of a package you did not order, you should check the sender or contact the delivery service directly. And do not give out your address, because most shipping companies do not ask customers to send their home addresses through text messages. Police also urge people to keep their mobile security settings updated with the latest antivirus programs. In another worrisome trend, police also note a rise in home invasion robberies committed by men posing as delivery men, again especially during holidays. They say people tend to be less cautious about opening their doors if they think a delivery person has arrived with a holiday gift. 박지원, Arirang News.
Now, finally, taking a look at the weather, it's another cold evening. We're going to see the temperature dip to minus 12 degrees Celsius in Seoul overnight. Sunday will be bright and sunny with an afternoon high of around 2 degrees Celsius in the Korean capital. Looking ahead to Monday, Lunar New Year's Day is going to be partly cloudy but milder with a high of 5 degrees Celsius. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, that's all we have for now. We'll be back with our next newscast at 10 p.m. Korea time. Until then, goodbye.